Stan DeFreitas, the dad, and James DeFreitas, the son. For the next hour, call in with your questions in gardening, growing your favorite veggies, and growing your profits in real estate. Locally, call 813-289-1860. Toll free 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And a big good morning to you as we start off another edition of the Ask Mr. Greenthumb Gardening and Real Estate Show. And so that means if you've got something that you need to get sold, well, we can help. That's what we do in the auction department. And my son, of course, James. Good morning.
I'm here. Good morning. Yeah, I mean, one of the things I would say that happens in the real estate auction world right at the moment is that, we're not a primary focus right at the moment, because if you have a Facebook account, you're noticing that all of your real estate friends that you have, it's either a just listed notification or I just put it up 45 seconds ago and it just sold. And so, and hats off to them. They're doing a great job. And this is the cycle of the real estate market that we're in. There was a lot of pent up demand, and then there was very few listings available. And because of that, you have a scenario that we have right now, which is it's kind of a buying frenzy.
Right.
And so, they're able to, there's multiple agents, especially at the RE/MAX Metro office where you have a lot of experienced agents. They are just knocking it out of the park. So, and it's awesome. And I'm so happy for them. And so that's a great thing. When the market does change, and we know that it will, then the, real estate auctions become a much more central focus. So we will be there when they need us.
That's true. Well, I've been calling a few of the top agents in Pinellas County and Tampa Bay and inviting them sometime to be a part of our show. And if I haven't talked to you yet, well, probably will if you're an agent out there sometime. But if not, you can always give me a call, too. I mean, I'm amazed we put it out there that, agents could call us if they wanted to talk about a favorite story or maybe one of their listings. We'll give them a shameless plug. And I had a lot of activity from agents out of Orlando who called us, more so there than in Pinellas. And I was thinking, it surprised me, really, that I thought in Tampa Bay that I would get more calls from agents in the area. And, of course, if you want to call me sometime and say, hey, I've got this great little story, or I want to shamelessly talk about my listing, you can do that. And we'll give you the call-in number here. It's 813-289-1860. Just that easy. So if you want to call in, we're trying to help you. My thing is, if we help you, we help the whole industry. That's what we're here for. And, as one of our former friends, not a former friend, but Terry always likes to say, hey, if we can help everybody, that's better for the whole industry. And I really like Terry Kelly's attitude. He's got one of those, how can we help you? And I just think that the world is a better place when you've got somebody that has his philosophy of trying to be good to the rest of the world. Now, we, of course, have that sort of in our illustrious owner, has that same philosophy of how do we help, how do we make things better? And that's the reason I think he is so successful, because he's always thinking about how do I help the team? How do I push the car forward? And we appreciate that support. It's what you're looking for. So anyway, we're here. If you've got a question about plants, trees, and stuff, that's my first love. Probably have made most of my living and my money in real estate, but we've been doing this for a while now. I mean, I've had a real estate license for near 20 years, and you have too.
Yeah. I mean, I was originally licensed up in South Carolina, and, when I moved back to Florida in 2003, 2004, somewhere in there, I decided that, I had a choice. I could just do the laws of reciprocity, and you could either sit for the sales license test, or I could sit for the broker's test. And my thoughts on that were pretty obvious. I was like, okay, well, I'll just take the broker's test, because that gives me, more options. And, if I ever wanted to, go out and start my own brokerage, I could, and I did. I did own my own brokerage at one time. And, it's just, again, it's, I think the things that it's what you don't know always. And what I would say with opening your own real estate company is it takes a lot of cash and capital to get something like that off the ground. I see some guys try to run it out the back of their house, and and I understand that, from terms of an economics point of view, but it's tough, and I think you really do have to have some things. You do have to, and you really should have an office. You should have a public place where people can park. You should know, who you're dealing with the appropriate information on the door and those kinds of things. And I mean, there are some requirements for opening up an office like that. So, and it's to me, I just love the idea of being able to, park myself at Remax Metro, be able to operate under a wonderful brokerage there, and not only that, but you also get the camaraderie of being able to bounce lots of different things off of people that specialize in certain areas. That in and of itself has value, and you don't have to make decisions in a vacuum, because you can reach out and get other people's opinions, and be a better agent, better broker, and ultimately take that knowledge and help your clients.
Well, and we have such great folks there too, like Julie and Cindy, and we've got a whole crew there that has a wealth of knowledge and are just really helpful in saying, "Hey, you got a problem? We'll help fix the problem." And that's even to small things to large. That's just great to have that kind of good support team around us. And I was going to say, later today, our friend Pam Davison has an open house. And we might mention that. We're going to mention it later, but I thought next hour we get a little bit busier.
Sure. Well, and since you mentioned it, let's just go ahead and mention it. Yeah.
Sure.
If anybody wants to come out today from 1 to 3 p.m., you can go and drive right out there to 3886 Crescent Cove Place. That's 3886 Crescent Cove Place, Tarpon Springs, Florida, 34688, and you can go look at this beautiful home that is up for auction. Now, today's, and in the auction business, we tend to call it a preview, but in the traditional real estate world, you guys call it open houses, and they're one and the same animal. And but it's a beautiful home. You can get out there, you can look at it. It's a 6-bedroom home. It's all one level. It's got beautiful engineered hardwood floors, ceramic tile, brand new carpeting, and it's a nice big place. Ceramic tile roofs. It's gorgeous. You need to get out there, take a look at it, take your time, walk the place with Pam, and then more importantly, when you fall in love with it, let's write an offer on it.
Exactly. And in fact, I think it's one of the best deals going when you look at the prices out there, and it's a nice community. So you're going to find that I think we have $575 is the minimum opening bid.
Right. Yeah. So minimum opening bid, and let's since we're mentioning it now, I mean, that's not where we expect the home to sell at. That is just a starting place.
We say it won't sell there.
Yeah, it won't sell there, but it's a starting place. It's a place to get off the ground. So when people decide they want to make a pre-auction offer, that's not a place that I would recommend making your offer at. I would say it's going to have to be a little more than that, and because the property does have a reserve, so we're not legally entitled to sell it until we hit that reserve at auction. But if you do want to make a pre-auction offer, you absolutely can, and and as long as the offer is substantial, we'll take it to the seller and we'll pull the auction, and we don't have to sit here and wait until September the 12th in order to have the auction. It makes no sense for the buyer or the seller to sit back and wait. If you found that dream home that is Crescent Cove Place, if you have found it, then there's no reason to wait, and the sellers will just be that happier to start to engage in that transaction that much faster. So we highly recommend that when it makes sense for you, the buyer.
Thanks. So go out and see Pam today. She's a great agent, and I know she was busy last week. I was covering for her on one of the days because she had like 6 things going on that same day. And I thought, well, that is just great. So she said, look, I can't be in 6 places at one time. And I said, look, put on that Superwoman cape and still get there. And she goes, oh, gosh, I just can't get there. And so I covered and had an open showing for someone who wanted to see the property. Some days I get busy too. So there's times that it's tough for me to do that. But I like to think we're all on the same team, and we try to help push the car forward. So that's how we do it. As I often talk to agents, I say, look, I try to treat people like you treat people. which is the best way I can. Now, am I a perfect man? Well, no. But do I try to work hard at doing the right thing on real estate? Yes, we try to do everything as well as we can.
Right. Well, perfection is never attainable, but the pursuit of it certainly is, and that's the best anyone can ever do. So, but yeah, I mean, if you're want to take a break, and you've gone to church and you've done your your morning activities, whatever those may be. 1 to 3 today, Pam Davison over there at 3886 Crescent Cove Place in Tarpon Springs. Go check it out. I think you'll be very happy with what you see over there, because there's just it's hard to find that kind of square footage in that price range. And there is nothing in the Crescent Oaks Country Club in that price range for that square footage. Nothing. Yep. Everything else is a lot higher in terms of what it would cost. So in my mind, it is it's a very much a bargain to be looking at, trying to purchase a place in the low 600s in there. That's a bargain. And anybody that knows that area will know that pretty fast.
Well, it's got golf course, it's got tennis courts. They've actually got the red clay up there on the tennis courts, which is
it's unusual.
Yeah, you don't see that very often. I mean, I think the only other place I saw one court down in Bardmore at one point years ago. And but I've been up there, played on the red clay back when I got to play more tennis, and it was fun. It's a little different. The bounce is just a little different, I thought, than the hard true that we're so used to, and certainly different than hard court.
Yeah, well, hard court. It's now I have some buddies that will tell me, there's no difference. It's all in your head. Now I'm thinking, I don't know about that. I've played on the clay versus the hard courts, and my body always pays for it.
There's always a difference.
But speaking of paying, we've got some bills to pay, and we'll be here to take your gardening and or real estate questions. If you have any questions for us, it's 813-289-1860. We are here for you.
Remember, the plant talk, vegetable talk, lawn talk, and real estate talk continues right here on AM 860, The Answer.
Want to talk real estate auctions? Call James DeFreitas at 727-254-7127 or go online at aflre.com.
We're going to have a guest in next hour, or at least via phone.
Yes, we will. Yeah, Danielle Kirschbaum is going to be calling in with, our illustrious title company, Titles Insurers of Florida. She'll be calling in. She kind of handles their marketing and marketing strategies for the company. And I just, she seemed to me like she'd be a very good interviewer. She does her Title Tuesdays every week, and she puts that up on the internal messaging board that we have, known as the Hub with Remax Metro, and she does a fantastic job with that. So I'm looking forward to picking her brain on different marketing ideas and a little more about her. So we'll learn more about Danielle coming up in the next hour. So that should be fun.
It should be. I brought a couple of my Brogdon avocados in here for the crew.
The Brogdon.
It's a good variety. Somebody asked me last week, what happens? They raised a seedling avocado, and they're not getting production. They've had it for a few years. Well, seedlings sometimes will take 7 to 10 years before they start to produce. Normally, they're not going to produce. When you get a grafted avocado, you're getting a known variety, and it's also sexually mature, ready to start to flower within probably the year or two.
Now, careful. This is a PG station.
Yeah, we won't go too much deeper than that. But I will say that's there's usually an A and a B type flower on an avocado. So it opens up usually in the morning or the afternoon, and will be showing the male or female part will dominate. And because of that, many trees will be self-fruitful. Most trees will be. There will be occasionally a tree where you would do better if you had another avocado in the yard, so that you'd be getting a little bit of crossing of pollination.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, and I will say, even some of your friends, I've heard, you talking to some of your friends, oh, yeah, you've got an avocado tree. Oh, you got any fruit? No, I planted that sucker 7 years ago, and I don't have any fruit. But, one of these years, and I can see your mind going, well, I know exactly why you don't have any fruit, and it's because you haven't watched my grafting video on YouTube.
watch the grafting video so you can become the grafting person in the neighborhood. Grafting is kind of fun to do. I mean, though I do have a scar on my finger when I was in Hort school before I became a Hort teacher, where I cut you're bearing down with a grafting knife. At the time, I think it was grafting hibiscus, trying to put a different color into it so you could have multiple colors. I've also done that with citrus, where you could have multiple varieties of citrus on one tree. They call it a cocktail tree,
Sure.
which is interesting. Now that you're usually doing like a bud graft, which is a little different than the traditional cleft graft, where you cleft it down the middle and you make it fit on either side.
Yeah, and if memory serves me correctly, you did a television segment, or maybe it was radio. I don't know exactly how you did it in terms of the media, but I remember you went on with Jack Harris, and you had grafted a tomato to a potato stalk, and he made the funny reference that Greenthumb wants to have some tomatoes for his French fries.
Yeah, that's old Jock. He was going wowie zowie. I can do a pretty good Jack Harris too, and he was going wowie zowie. He says Greenthumb's in here trying to grow some ketchup for his French fries, and of course Jack is great at what he's done. He's one of the legends in the industry. And I find it's funny. Most people love Jack. Now there are a few. I will come across that rule. One or two out of thousands that'll go, I don't like Jack. I said, well, why not? Well, I don't know why, but I don't like him.
Yeah,
and I go, well, it's the same.
You can't win everybody.
You can't.
The main thing is, I would still say, in a room of 100 people, 99% of them are going to like him, and as we do as well. He's a good guy. He's one of the good ones.
And I enjoyed my time, on that network as well. But not to give him too many plugs, because he certainly doesn't need it anymore.
Well, the first time I ever saw Jack, I was a kid, and he was doing cash and carry commercials. And I don't know if that was his pinnacle of his. I would hate to say that it was the pinnacle of his career. I'm sure doing the shows and stuff that he's done on television since then were also up there in terms of his his professional career.
Well, I can tell you where you met him first time in person.
Yeah, over there he was doing a 30-minute show over at Busch Gardens.
No, before that. You were at Clearwater Mall, and you went to see one of your favorites at the time was Dr. Paul Bearer.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And Jack was there. I'm not sure why, but anything that happened, Jack's an old radio professional. He would be there, and I forget.
I think he was Paul Bearer's assistant, wasn't he?
Well, no, he was going, I'll be lurking for you, as far as the eye can see.
That guy had, I don't know what it was, but as a kid, I mean, that guy should have been scary to children, but somehow he wasn't.
Well, he was a nice guy.
Yeah,
I mean, he used his looks, and he did a good job. I always thought, what a good huckster he was. I mean, and there, I think he had his hearse in the middle of the mall.
He did.
And,
I wanted to get in it. I don't know if they were allowing that, but I wanted to get in that thing.
But I thought, I think you must have been, maybe 7 or 8 or something. You were pretty young, maybe 6.
Maybe 5 or 6.
6.
Yeah.
You wanted to go see him, so I took you over there to see the Dr. Paul Bearer.
Now, did he have like a show like on PBS or something?
No, he did a show. It was one of the... I hate to be disparaging.
V32.
One of the other networks, okay. And he had like a creature feature kind of show where you could go back and show. Actually, I sometimes it's funny. You got 1,000 different things on the air now, and I go, what do I want to see? Nope, don't want to see that. Don't want to see that. Don't want to see that. But they had the old Boris Karloff, and they had some of the old kind of spooky movies. And each week he would promote one of those.
Oh, neat. Well, we are here if you have any gardening and or real estate questions. If you want to call in, it's 813-289-1860 or toll free 877-969-8600. Stan and James are here to try to answer any questions you may have or just to listen to a great story that you might have.
Interested in having a home consult? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794 or on the web at askmrgreenthumb.com.
Attention real estate agents. Need help selling a listing? Auction it off with RE/MAX Metro. So, auctions work. And with RE/MAX Metro, most auctions are scheduled within 45 days, selling at fair market value, and we'll guarantee your commission. Auction your Florida real estate with RE/MAX Metro. Go to aflre.com. A for auction, FLRE for Florida real estate. Call 727-423-4794 today or go to AFLRE.com.
And we're here to help you with any of your gardening needs and or real estate needs. We wear both hats. At least I do. I wear the gardening hat first. You've probably picked up some of the gardening information just by being my son and being around me all these years.
Yeah, what's funny about that is that you can appreciate gardening from afar, even But it's funny when you first go out there and you buy your first home. All of a sudden, it matters more because then you're looking at the plant material and if you're, and again, you have to have a energetic mind and you have to be curious. And some people out there, I think, are just so darn busy, trying to work and bring in enough money that they just don't have time to think about some of these things. And, and God bless them. But the other thing I would say is that all of a sudden you want to know what that plant is. Is it going to do better in the sun? Is it going to do better in the shade? Is the sandy soil going to be okay? Because some plants, it seems like they do better. I mean, especially if it's a Florida native, they seem like they're okay in our Florida sand. And then you turn around and you add some black cow, and then all of a sudden I'm going, wow, that plant really does seem to like it much better in that spot. Is it the spot? Is it the black cow? Who could say?
That's true. Well, I remember, as I always said, the worm turned. James used to tell me when he was 15, 16, I don't really care about plants. That isn't my thing.
And I really didn't. I mean, it was not something that really interested me until
you had your own townhouse.
Yeah, and then you wind up getting your own place, and then I'm like, okay, well now I need to. Okay, that's a croton. Okay, that's a philodendron. That's that's a crepe myrtle. Like those, and then you start learning the things that get those things. Of course we don't have a crepe myrtle in the front anymore. And I don't think it was a crepe myrtle. I think it was had a tree in the front. And it got some kind of frizzle.
You had Indian hawthorn.
I think no, it was a tall tree, and the neighbor was scared.
Yeah.
She was scared that the root structure of the tree.
It was a red leaf photinia.
That's it, a photinia. And it started to look rather sickly, and I forgot the name of what you said was getting it. But it was frizzly looking.
It was a fungus. And, it's Speriopsis.
Speriopsis, a fungus among us.
And it starts getting kind of a warty look, and it's a reason we don't see them used probably more than they would.
It's a shame too because
it's a pretty leaf tree.
Yeah, I mean it's a shame because I up until that it started looking diseased. It always looked nice. I mean, for the first 20 years, it seemed like it did fine in that spot. I mean, I wasn't there for 20 years, but I imagine that tree was there.
Of course, 20 years isn't a bad run.
9 years isn't a bad run.
Kind of an inside joke.
That's an inside joke, folks. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So it's there is this fear though when some of these types of trees are planted fairly close to the foundation. Is that warranted? When you have a photinia or a crepe myrtle, because the concern in our townhome community is that somehow the root structure is going to push up the foundation or it's going to damage plumbing pipes.
Normally, crepe myrtles aren't going to be a problem, but I am worried I'm sometimes worried that maybe I've been part of the problem because in my gardening book, Stan DeFreitas' Complete Guide to Florida Gardening, I talk about live oaks being one of my favorite trees, and they are. But one of the things I would say is a live oak wants to be, 50, 60 feet tall, and it wants to spread 75 feet. So it wants to be huge. So the problem is it looks okay when it's in a 5-gallon container and you put it 5 feet from your front door. Mm-hmm. That's in proportion to your home. But when it gets really big and it's hanging over your home and you're having to call Carl Utzi and the guys to come out to trim it.
Sure.
And you do, because normally I like to recommend about 10 feet off your house with the branches, because if it's hanging over there, and we get a thing called, what Robert Pankow talk about?
Yeah, well, it looks like we're going to have a dual. Is that still the case? I mean, I haven't found the
Well, I think they're far enough apart now, but, the big worry was what happened if they both came together and you had like a super hurricane, which
Well, that makes sense.
We'd expect that in 2020.
2020, you were, I'm surprised there's not 3 hurricanes.
All coming together at one point, like hitting you with like a boxer from boom, boom, and
isn't that
boom.
something? I mean, what's the next thing? I mean, we should just go ahead and anticipate the next natural disaster.
I'm expecting locusts by the millions, or
I know you almost kind of feel like that, and yet at the end of the day, there is hope, and we need to remember, because I do, and the other thing I would want to mention too. I'm not telling people what to do. You do what you want. But in my mind, maybe turn off a little bit of the 24-hour news cycle stuff and relax, pick up a book. And, I understand, that the politics are running high, the emotions are running deep. But at the end of the day, try to, my thoughts on this is, I don't care if you have a D or an R next to your name. We're all people, and at the end of the day, we should try to our hardest to still care for each other as human beings. And
exactly.
So there's my preachy tip of the day, and I don't
cut back that hatred level just a little.
Yeah, and just try to remember we're all people, and and it's. In this country, I know people are very concerned about what's going to happen come November, but here's the thing is we will survive. We have some amazing documents like the U.S. Constitution, and no matter what happens come November, we will survive. This country is stronger than whoever is in the White House.
That's true.
And we will make it through. So calm. Enhance your calm.
Yeah, I think that would be wise. Well, last night I was glad to see I got home in time to see our Rays win.
Mm-hmm.
Kiermaier hit the winning hit, and Kiermaier's such a big, strong guy, and he's so fast. He moves the bases really fast, and he's probably the best center fielder
Some pretty rowdy fans
I've ever seen. But he hit it, got us through. So they won last night. That was great.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of a big baseball fan. I love
the Rays. So no fans yet, though. Still cardboard cutouts.
Yeah, they've got cardboard cutouts.
Now, what's curious, I would have a question for Paul Pipes Porter, who's on Saturdays on this station. I would have a question for him: is that if the NFL feels that they can have some limited fan attendance, I see some of the NFL teams are going to have 25% attendance at some of the games.
This is your chance, Paul Pipes Porter, to call in if you want to be on our show. Yeah, we'll give him the numbers.
Yeah, well, if he doesn't have the numbers by now memorized,
I bet they're ingrained in his brain.
I have a feeling they might be. But that would be one question I would have for him that he could answer next Saturday on his show, is that if they can figure out a way to do it, then it would make sense to me that you might be able to figure out how to do it for baseball.
Well, that would be interesting. One of the things that I would also wonder, a question I thought of, when I see baseball players, most all of them are wearing their masks most of the time now in the dugout and stuff, which actually one of the things I do like is that you don't see a ton of spitting, which you used to see all the time. It always seemed like the camera guy would be in on the guy as he was spitting in the dugout. And I was thinking, come on, guys. Pick your cups up, and it shouldn't be, we need to have a cleaning crew follow you around. So I think that's one of the, if there's a silver lining in this, that's one of them. But I would say you see most of the guys wearing masks. Now, take it over to Paul Porter's other favorite sport, which would be, the hockey with the Lightning.
The Lightning.
I don't see any of those guys. And I know they got a half shield, most of them, over their faces.
Hey, that's plenty good enough.
But those guys are checking each other into the board. Talk about there isn't any social distancing when it comes to hockey.
Yeah.
And yet, I don't, and of course, I haven't seen mass outbreaks of people with COVID-19.
Yeah, well, if we're going to be completely honest, the 3.5 seconds of wearing a mask before you go into your favorite restaurant, that you have to wear it to the obligatory table.
Isn't it symbolic?
It feels a little symbolic, and even at the gym, I was leaving the gym a few weeks ago, and I'm wearing my mask, and And the guy in front of me, is not wearing his mask as he leaves. And the lady goes, well, you got to wear your mask. And he goes, no, the buy-in for me was when I wanted something from you. I wanted a key. I don't want anything from you now, so you can't tell me what to do. And he walked out. And I'm like, all right. I get it, but at the same point in time, I don't want them to close the gym because it looks like it's unsafe. So I'm willing to wear the mask in order to keep up the facade.
And that is our political opinion. No, and we want to give that address out. We have our good buddy, I think Terry Kelly, wanted the address for that property.
Yeah, he did, and I actually typed it in on the Facebook Live, and I might mention too, for every Sunday morning we are also on Facebook Live. So if people maybe you don't have that radio, just I know the phonographs are big in certain political circles, but maybe you don't have that radio handy, but you do have access to internet and a Facebook Live feed, and you can participate that way. So all you have to do is go to Facebook, type in the little search thing, and type in Ask Mr. Greenthumb, and you can listen to us that way. You can type in and ask questions if you so desire, and if your question happens to be, hey, where is that open house going to be today that you're having Pam Davison do from 1 to 3, then you could certainly type that in, and I would be happy to answer it at 3886 Crescent Cove Place. That's 3886 Crescent Cove Place in Tarpon Springs. She will be there from 1 to 3 today. You're getting tired of just looking at properties online. It's time to get out of the house. Go look at that property, and I think you're going to go, wow, this is gorgeous. And it is. That property is gorgeous.
And I think it's the best deal in that price range, too. I really do.
It's the best deal going for sure in Crescent Cove. Now, are there other deals out there? Yeah, there are amazing deals to be had. Just any of the RE/MAX Metro agents that we're, our colleagues, if you look at the deals they're putting up, I mean, they're pricing their property so correctly that, I would say they're selling within a week. And again, I know it's partly because we're in a certain type of real estate cycle. But I would also say that it's also the real estate agent's prowess in terms of being able to know where to price these properties at, and and it's that kind of professionalism that you're going to find with every RE/MAX Metro agent.
Well, they're just that good. We might mention to you that you can give us a call at 1-877-969-8600 or 813-289-1860. We'll put you on the Ask Mr. Greenthumb Gardening and Real Estate Show.
That's some serious pipes you got there, mister. That's you're competing with Paul Pipes Porter.
Thanks.
To talk real estate auctions? Call James DeFreitas at 727-254-7127 or go online at aflre.com.
And we're here to help answer your gardening questions, be it about plants, trees, vegetables, anything that's going right or wrong in the yard or garden. We're here to help with that. And, of course, if you've got real estate needs, we're there as well. We try to help everybody in the industry, and as I say, when I call folks, I don't really care what group you work with. I'm there to try to help you. I don't care. Some people say, well, you got to be this or you got to be that. Well, not really. It's kind of like we were talking earlier about being Democrat or Republican. We all should try to help each other where we can. It doesn't matter what party you're part of. But and the same thing with real estate. I've been talking to a number of the top people in the industry, and I don't really care. If I can help you, you can talk about your particular property, what's going right or wrong. That's what we're there to do. And of course, next hour we're going to talk about maybe closings and things of that nature.
Yeah, and, with title with Danielle Kirschbaum. That'll be a good one.
That'll be great. And I can tell you, working with a good title person that tries to make sure everything goes through is so great. I've worked with a few that we don't really care if we get this thing done. Isn't going to happen today, that type thing. And those aren't the kind of people you want to work with. You want to work with people who go, we're going to try to help you. We're going to try to make this thing go, because it's a tough thing sometimes. And sometimes you've got a contentious sale. Sure.
Yeah. And that's a good point. I mean, in that you're talking about, especially in auctions. Now we'd like to tell you that every time we take a real estate auction on, that it's a perfect deal and everything's sunny as sunrise.
And most of the time it is.
And it is, but sometimes we'll get into a situation where it's a, divorce sale, or it's a distress. Maybe, you get into a situation where, hey, I haven't made payments for a little while, and then, the next thing I know, Stan or myself are, getting on the line, and we're, calling up, I'll give you, for instance, we had a situation where there was a hard money lender involved. And they wanted to foreclose because they actually would make more money if they foreclosed on the property.
Sure.
So one of the things I had to do is call her up and say, hey, listen, is there any opportunity that you could hold on a little bit longer and I could get you paid? Then you don't have to go through all of that process, because it's a process, to go through the foreclosure thing. There's a lot of money and time and effort and stuff involved in doing that. And, I said, why don't I just get you a check for the full balance owed and any interest, and, you'll be a happy camper. And that sounded good to her. And, so I was in good contact with her throughout the entire time. And, that's the other thing that I think, that kind of sets ourselves aside from other people, is that we are good at communicating and being able to make sure that everybody is in on the know as to what they need to know and when they need to know it.
Sure, I agree 100%. I was glad to see my former neighbor, Shane Nolan, who is now I think a petty officer in the Navy.
That's a fantastic young man.
Oh, he's got everything going. I really am proud of him.
Yeah.
In fact, I told him congratulations when I saw that, through Facebook, and talked to his dad last week. He was saying. And of course, he's proud of his son, as he should be.
He should, yeah, absolutely. That's a very, very, you could tell there's a lot going on in between the ears there, and such a nice thing to see, because there are kids out there that are trying to, and I say kid, he's a young man, that are trying to better themselves and to make the world a brighter place.
So we give you kudos, and we're proud of you for. Putting yourself out there for our country.
Absolutely.
So we wanted to say that. And so we're here, of course, to help answer your questions. Right now, as I mentioned, there's a lot of moisture, which means a lot of fungal problems. If you've got grass, you may be having some brown patch in St. Augustine. You could have gray leaf spot. There's a number of different fungal diseases that can occur. You can treat them, and you can get a fungicide from any of the nurseries, garden supply centers. Apply it according to directions. Some of them you could put on with a spreader dry. Others you could put on as a spray. But read the directions, follow the directions, and, don't be like the guy who, you look at it, you throw the directions away, and you go back 10 minutes later, pull it out of the garbage, reread the directions because you said, I should have probably read this the first time. And, some assembly may be required with certain things. And there are certain people who do it that way, and then there's other people who go, darn it, full speed ahead. Who needs to know? Let me just solder these wires together, because that'll make it happen.
Yeah. If you're, as long as you're within a few miles away from a fire department, go right ahead. I guess that's the main thing. But yeah, again, I mean, an ounce of prevention, as they say. So, you always want to try to do
it's better than a pound of cure.
That's right.
Yeah.
In actuality, there's so much good information flowing out there today. I mean, I often will, I do what a lot of people do nowadays. I will go and I'll look at a YouTube video and I'll try to get some ideas of how I thought they had some success with whatever project they were attempting to do, i.e. like, your grafting video, for instance.
Sure.
And, it's a good time to mention, too, that, if you go to Stan's YouTube page, Stan and I have up a YouTube page, for Ask Mr. Greenthumb. So all you have to do is type in Ask Mr. Greenthumb into the YouTube page. Now, not Dr. Greenthumb. That'll take you to the rap star that's selling marijuana. That's not us, obviously, unless they want to sponsor next week.
Yeah, I did talk to a CBD oil person yesterday, and I said, hey, It's made by God, and we could probably, if it helps people in different ways, we could sell that product on our show.
We are available. But I do want to say, if people want to go and look at, we've done a lot of videos. We're also any of the radio programs, in case you missed it, we're pretty early, so 7 to 9 on Sundays. So if you miss it, what we do put the videos because we film everything in studio when we're in here. So I know if you're listening on the radio, you probably can't see that. So, we do put them up there, and people can go and look at what we did. Usually we're a week behind because it takes me a while to edit up a 2-hour program. And I'm always amazed if these techie people out there, when I'm finally finished editing, it's a 14 gigabyte file to upload. So if you remember back to the old DVD days, those were 4.7. So it's like 3 or 3.5 of those, so it's a pretty big file. And when I wind up uploading it to YouTube, it's like you push the button and it's done in about 8 hours.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and I've been amazed too that we tape the radio show and put it up, and I thought no one's going to watch radio. And then you told me there was something like 1,700 hits or 1,000 hits. Or whatever.
Over the last 90 days, there's been 17,000 hits. So correct on the 17 part, just add a couple zeros.
Zeros, all right.
Yeah, and now again, it doesn't necessarily mean everyone's watching, but they tune in, they tune out, they come back to it later when it's convenient for them. And we might mention too, we are here 813-289-1860 if you have any gardening and or real estate questions. If you have any title questions, get those ready too, because we're going to
813-289-1860. You said 1-877-969-8600. And the plant talk and real estate talk continues.
Absolutely.
Stay with us.
Interested in having a home consult? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794 or on the web at askmrgreenthumb.com. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And we're here to help you with any of your problems, be it whatever in your garden that may be doing right or wrong, and real estate, of course. And we are supposed to have a guest in this hour, and that should be good as well. So if you've got a question, hit the speed dialer.
Absolutely. We will get you on. If you have any questions about title, call in on that too as well, because we're going to have a very great guest joining us soon. And actually, it looks like she is now on the line, so we'd love to bring her on in. Danielle, are you on the line with us?
Yes, I am. Good morning, gentlemen. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, good morning to you. So Danielle, this is James speaking. So I just want to say, hey, thank you so much for joining us, and tell us a little bit about yourself and give us a background.
Okay. My name is Danielle Kirschbaum. I do the marketing and the business development for a wonderful company called Title and Shores of Florida, and we operate locally downtown St. Petersburg since 2003, so almost 15 years. And what we do is we help the community buy and sell safely through clear title.
That's fantastic. Okay, so are you a Florida native, or you coming? Have you always been in Florida, or where are you from?
I am a Florida native, born and raised here, and I've been many places. I'm actually Israeli myself, so I've been across the world.
Wow.
And though I've been many places, I love Florida, and it is my number one choice in where to live. I knew I always wanted to be in real estate, so this is really a nice sweet spot to be able to help those who also want to live here come here safely and live knowing that, their properties are theirs. So it's a really harmonious position for me to be in. Absolutely.
That's awesome. Yeah, because one of the I had no idea who you were or what you did until I saw you those that are listening, Danielle does these wonderful Title Tuesday segments for our Hub, and Hub is kind of like our Facebook for RE/MAX Metro, and it kind of connects all of the agents, and she goes in every week for does like a 2-minute video and provides such value added content for the agents, and I catch myself watching and rewatching your videos because I'm thinking, wow, that's really insightful, because there are things that I thought I knew, and I'm going, well, she's done a little bit of research here to make sure that you found the question out that I didn't even know to ask, and and then now I'm just that much more armed to answer those questions when my clients have them.
Absolutely, because title is kind of something you need, but you don't know about until until you need it. And there are some fun facts that I try to make understandable and digestible for realtors and even the community directly, so that everybody's just educated on what it is and why it's so important. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying some of those videos.
Oh yeah, and I mean honestly, I think I'm going to shamelessly copy you, because I think that one of the things that we do with real estate auctions is I definitely would want to create the same sort of added value content that you're doing, and maybe do something like Auction Thursdays or something, because it's one of those things where if I could get people to understand what we're doing, how we can help them, and be another tool in the toolbox for other agents, and not only promote, but also explain things that are happening in the industry, things that are changing, and I think that's just one more thing that would be very helpful for them. And so thank you for providing a little bit of inspiration in that area. So I'm kind of going down a rundown here, and so let me go ahead and just ask you, why is title insurance so important in making sure that that's part of every real estate transaction?
Well, simply, I would say it's protection and peace of mind on what's arguably everyone's largest investment. And you wouldn't want to purchase unless you knew you owned it free and clear. And that's exactly where we come in, and that's what we do. We're able to deep dive into the lifespan or the history of the property, and we can discover threats that the public can't see. We actually call these clouds on the title, and those are levied by previous homeowners, things like income tax or judgment liens, unpaid mortgages, unknown heirs, lots of scary stuff. And what we're able to do,
and mechanics liens. I mean, that's one of the ones that Stan and I have run into a lot, is mechanic liens, where the contractor doesn't get paid, and they wind up putting on the. We had that happen to one of our properties in Palm Harbor, where we had somebody put a mechanics lien on, and that we were at using a different title insurance company at the time, and I won't mention their name,
but not nearly as good as you. This is Stan.
Very classy.
Yeah. Well, and and it's one of those things where we're learning out. I mean, just days before, we were learning things that we should have known weeks before, and so, and that's the thing that I would say that really separates you guys, is that, the information flow to the clients is making sure they know what they need to know in time to remedy the problem. And, and that's something that is, it's so important, because if we can't put the clients at ease, we want them to have a seamless transaction every time. And I found myself, running around like a chicken with its head cut off, trying to help the client and to try to make it to where everything would close correctly. And, and that can make or break a transaction. The people, if they
need good partners.
Yeah, you gotta have good partners. And speaking of that good partner, special shout out to Robin Murphy. She is such a wonderful person. What a wonderful title person to have with Title Insurers of Florida. And she's a great lady, and we couldn't be happier to be working with her. She's went ahead and one of the things we do in real estate auctions too is, it's a little bit unusual. One of the things that we have done is we have we do kind of like a pre-title inspection, if you will. We try to make sure that we never know exactly if the sellers even know all of the things that are happening with their property. And so one of the things that we like to do on auction day is we like to make sure that we are able to sell a legitimate property that can actually close with clear title.
Kind of important.
Yeah. So what are the things that we do is Titles Insurers Florida provides a pro forma title policy. And this policy is great because it gives us a basic rundown of things that are going right, maybe are going wrong with the property, and gives us kind of an edge in being able to provide information up front. Because what we do is we take that, we put it into a packet, and we make that available to the bidders before the auction begins so that they can go and look at it. And that way they know in advance that we're going to be able to provide clear title.
That is very thorough and not something that everyone provides on auction.
And that's something that we, Stan and I wanted to be able to separate ourselves from the pack. We want to be able to, and the other thing I would say too in auctions, we encourage bidders to go out and get an inspection. We think that an informed consumer is a better consumer. And, in that way, it's because to me, if we can get repeat business, repeat clients, and get word of mouth, That is really everything that you need in title and in the real estate business. You've got to have word of mouth, positive reception. And these are things that are just invaluable. You want to be able to do multiple transactions with the same people if possible, and that's what we're all about.
Absolutely, and I'm sure within the auctions, the way that you have it set up so professionally and so concisely that you are collecting repeat clients because you've created a system and you've added that value. I can see that from just this conversation. So well done.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. And so one of the other thoughts I have to you too is I think people only think of title insurance when they're getting ready to buy or sell, but there are other reasons you might need title insurance, right?
Yes, there's one other time that you would need to give us a call, and after you buy or sell your property and you've lived in your home and it's time to refinance, you need to partner with not only a mortgage company, but a title company to re-solidify your updated policy for that lender. So not only when you sell and buy, but also when it's time to refinance, you do need to give us a call. So there are 2 times in the lifespan of the property that you need title insurance.
Exactly. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because I think a lot of people just look at it and go, well, you're just going to need it for this particular transaction. But at the end of the day, there are, when you're going to refinance that property, that's another time that you want to make sure that is updated so that you're completely covered on that end. And it's so important, and I see a lot of, cash transactions, and I'm thinking to myself, well, it's important. You really want to make sure that you're, and I'll give you another scenario that I have seen, and here's an interesting story I'll share with you. In my townhome community, I happen to, and again, when you live in an area long enough, you tend to get an idea of what's going on in your community. And I happen to know that there was a guy that was selling a townhome, and I happen to know there were clouds on the title. And he decided he was going to do owner financing. And if you are going to do owner financing and you aren't necessarily, you're going to close that transaction, but you're doing owner financing, then it's a little different scenario. And I'm wondering, and I'm not going to name names or do anything like that, but I'm going to say that there is a situation where you could wind up paying on a property where that guy doesn't really legally have the right to sell it to you.
Correct. Absolutely. Yes.
So,
we are solely who are able to provide that safeguards to ownership, and you're correct. You're correct.
Yeah. So, one of the things that was kind of an awkward position for me is that, when this young couple moved into this place and I know they're diligently making their payments to him, and I'm thinking, I went over there and I said, hey, are you aware? And I hated to be that person, but I have to.
The bearer of bad news.
But I have to sleep at night. I said, are you aware, that there is a lien that was placed on this property for a lack of maintenance? Because one of the things that happened is that they wouldn't paint. They didn't want to paint their house, and so the city came in and said, no, you got to paint your house, and then went before a committee and that sort of thing, and and they ultimately put a lien on the property essentially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, it's one of those situations where I don't know how they got it rectified or how things got handled on that end, but I do know that as long as I made the parties aware of what I knew when I knew it, then I felt pretty good about the situation. And I said, well,
And you were able to sleep at night. Yeah.
Yeah, because I just wanted to make sure that, it's such a nice young couple that moved in there, and I thought to myself, it just makes sense. That at least they're aware that there's potentially an issue. So, but again, if they had had title insurance, holy smokes, they might have been able to know this in advance.
Yeah, Danielle, we're going to keep you on, and we have to pay some bills here, but we're going to hold you, and you can come back and talk to us a bit more about
so
titles
stay right
and
there
insurance.
Absolutely. Stay with us,
Sounds
and
good.
we'll pick
Thank
you up
you.
on the other side of the break here.
The number 1-877-969-8600 or 813-289-1860 will put you on the air with us here on the Ask Mr. Greenthumb Gardening and Real Estate Show.
Want to talk real estate auctions? Call James DeFreitas at 727-254-7127 or go online at aflre.com.
Good morning to you as we continue our show. Danielle, I am Stan DeFreitas, Mr. Greenthumb, the dad, and I wanted to say hi to you as well. May have a question for you, Danielle, and that is, who gets to choose, as far as having the title company, if you have a buyer and a seller? Is there a magic rule
Yeah,
there?
absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So who gets to choose
It varies
that?
by county.
Okay.
And yeah, it varies by county, but locally it is the seller who gets to pick the title company. And then again, as homeowners, they'll need to choose the title agency again to update their policy when it's time to refinance. But the short answer is the sellers get to pick the title company in this county.
In Pinellas. What about, is Hillsborough the same or is it different?
It switches over, and that's why it varies by county. It's a very interesting system. But again, as you know, all of it is negotiable depending upon the terms of the agreement, and you can select that within the contract. But the rule for each county varies, and in our county, it is the sellers that get to choose.
Well, in our office, of course, it's nice. We've got a nice group of friendly folks who want to try to help you and make it happen. And I won't say who. I've worked in another office somewhere before, and the person didn't want to do the job, didn't care about the job, doesn't like the job. And it really came across. My poor little customer goes, "Gosh, we picked the wrong closing company." And I said, "Yeah, we did. I'm sorry, because we just didn't." But it's amazing. Some people seem to really like to help do closings, and they are warm, friendly folks. And then you get others who are, I don't want to say Lord, was it Voldemort? But,
yeah, right.
But you do get some like that are that make him look like Mr. Happy.
And I have met some very good realtor partners who have been unfortunately scorned in that same respect, and then I earned their business after that. But unfortunately, that does happen in our industry.
It's amazing to me. I mean, it's almost like good and evil, friendly and not. And I'm thinking, aren't we all trying to push the car in the right same direction?
You should
Absolutely.
be. Yeah, you should.
You really have to enjoy helping people.
Well, let me ask you a question, too. Now with COVID-19 being a buzzword in all of our brains, how are you guys, how does that, how do we conduct closings now with some people being very afraid of, I'm not so afraid of it, but a lot of people are afraid of COVID-19.
Well, at Title Insurers of Florida, we're all about following the rules. That's how we get to the finish line, and health and safety is no different for us. We've been conducting closings in office or outside curbside at the client's discretion with minimal people in attendance, separate pens, masks, all other CDC guidelines. We're very, very picky about following those. So
now I know you work with RE/MAX Metro, but you'll work with other agents as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. We work with a plethora of agents, Coastal, Luxury, Keller Williams, Charles Rutenberg, absolutely. Even direct with sellers sometimes when they have cash offers.
Cool. Well, that's nice to know because some places don't. They're like, oh, we only work here. But
oh, no. Oh, absolutely not. We love helping people, and we are ready to close real estate. The women in our office, they know their way around difficult title. I really can't give them enough credit. You mentioned Robin Murphy. We also have Lee Bosenhard, Jody Tutt, Donna Bernard, and Jenny Martinez, and they are fantastic at what they do and really make a good team in getting it done.
And really a friendly bunch, too, and knowledgeable. I was impressed that not only did they come out and say, howdy, how are you, glad that you're here, but they were, they're friendly, and you said, well, a question comes up, and they go, boom, here's the answer.
Oh, sure. And the other thing I noticed, too, is when we were sitting in the waiting room waiting to talk to Robin, there was a guy that came into there to drop off a check. He didn't know exactly where to go, and it was almost what I love seeing is there was a camaraderie in that in the title office of people tripping over themselves to try to be the first to go help him, and that is a rarity in businesses to see people going to that degree to try to help somebody when they're coming in, because at the end of the day, every business is about problem solving and trying to take care of their clients. And it's just such a wonderful thing to see with Title Insurers of Florida.
Yep.
Thank you. Yes, it is. It is. We're a great team. We really are.
What is your phone number if somebody wants to call in and talk to you or talk to the other members of the crew?
My phone number, I don't know who else might be up, but my phone number is 727-637-1291.
Fantastic. Okay, and if somebody wanted to get to you, let's say they're not a big phone person, we got a lot of non-phone people out there. If they wanted to text you to that number, they could?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Well, hey, we're going to go pay some bills. Do you want to hold on one more time for us, and we'll come back and ask you some more questions?
Sounds great.
Stay with us as the news will come on in shortly. And, of course, also we'll be able to answer questions. If somebody has a question about titles, they can give us a call.
That's right. Danielle is here for you to answer your title questions.
So hit the speed dialer now, 1-877-969-8600 or 813-289-1860.
Interested in having a home consult? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794 or on the web at askmrgreenthumb.com. DeFreitas.
And we have, of course, I am Stan, and we have James DeFreitas here.
And I'm James DeFreitas, and we are here talking about title.
With Danielle Kirschbaum.
There you go.
Hello.
And Danielle, we're glad that you're with us. We feel honored to have somebody who's knowledgeable and friendly and upbeat on a Sunday morning. That is just great. Let me ask you a question. That would be, what is your kind of expertise as with the insurers of Florida?
Yeah, so I handle all of the external and social media marketing. Like you mentioned, I generate some custom content, whether that's ads or educational videos, things like that. And I also spend my time on the flip side in the community directly, developing partnerships with fantastic realtors like yourself and at open houses, meetings, events, which used to be a little more plentiful, representing title insurers in business networking groups that allow us to further connect and educate the community directly so they know it's their choice as well.
Now, what is something you really love about the industry?
Oh, I know it sounds so generic to say that you love building partnerships and helping others, but I just love seeing clients cross the finish line and know that the community is buying and selling safely because of what we're able to do as a team.
Well, I think that's great advice. In fact, for the realtors who want to be successful, repeat just what Danielle just said. And if you are not as successful as you want to be, if you follow what she just said about being helpful and trying to, create partnerships, that to me, if there's one secret thing you could tell a young agent, that would be it. Now, old agents already know that are successful, and that is that you want to build relationships and partnerships with people in not only this, it's just good. It's good philosophy for life.
I agree.
And so we are so proud of you for bringing that forth to people because I think we can't stress that enough. And Danielle Kirschbaum, I think you're doing a wonderful job, and we give you a pat on the back for that because now we made it easy, didn't we? See, on air
You did, and I mean, you guys are just everything you just said about me. I echo right back in return. You guys are a wonderful team. You made it easy. I love what you're doing for the community, the gardening and the real estate. It's so versatile. I even wrote down a gardening question just in case.
Oh, great! Let's have that too.
Yeah, let's have your gardening question.
Okay. My question was, should I plant in containers, raised garden beds, or in the ground since we're in Florida and our weather is kind of neutral?
All of the above.
Okay.
Actually, I do like containers because you can, moisture is not going to be a problem. It's one of the reasons, and I like the Earth Box. I'll give them a free plug. The thing I liked about the Earth Box is it's raised. And, at one point, Blake, who invented the Earth Box, he had acres down there where there was too much water in the ground, and he lost, thousands of plants to a problem because too much water can kill just like not enough. And he said, I don't want that to occur. Yeah. So he invented this thing called the Earth Box, which basically is a container, has a little filler tube and a little reservoir on the bottom. But if it gets too much water, it has a little weep hole where it can kind of drain out. And that was probably one of the reasons I think it did so well. And, of course, we either have feast or famine. We either don't get enough water where we're all out there doing our rain dance and threatening the weatherman on the channel going, hey, buddy, you told us we'd get rain, and where is it? You said 80%, and you happen to live in that 20% that doesn't get it, then you're not happy. But too much water can be a problem, too. And, right now, especially with hurricanes, if you get 4 or 5 days of heavy rains, it's the reason I don't tell people to put veggies and stuff in August. And I know a lot of people want to. They can start their seedlings if they want, but to put stuff right in the ground right now, it's a bit too early. It's too hot. There's too many insects. There's too many fungal problems. And as we get cooler, it's better. I mean, I think our best veggie growing season is the October, November, December, January. When people can't grow things up north, we can. Now, we do have to worry about occasionally getting a cool spell. But you can throw a little sheet or blanket or something over for that one night or bring it in sometime. If it's in a container, you can bring it in.
Well, sure, and I would also add too with the container gardening, you can control what's in the container in terms of its soil. If you're just trying to plant in our sandy soil, then you're in a situation where you've got a very weak amount of organic matter, in our Florida sand.
Right.
And so, and again, it's a perfect opportunity to mention our sponsor,
Darcy,
Darcy the Black Cow, and again, I would say that, again, we like to support local companies, and that's a local company, that's right there in Oxford, Florida, and super people that run that place. And
we were up there and shot a commercial for them, and James was up there with his little drone going back and forth, and
I was looking for the cows. Of course, there are no actual cows there. They actually bring in the manure, and then but they have sophisticated equipment up there. I mean, they're turning these piles and keeping the temperature a certain temperature in order to make it more usable. And they have these huge thermometers that they stick into the rows, and they have as far as the horizon, as you can see, of rows and rows and rows, and it's a major undertaking what they do.
Like 10 acres, man.
Yeah, 10 acres, yeah. And it's and it's all on one site. They have the warehouse there, and they package everything up, and then they put it onto a pallet, and then it gets ready to be trucked around to all around the country.
The ultimate recycling.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, and otherwise in the old days, sometimes they would dump it into lakes or wherever, and or into the bay, which not so much
that's probably
cow
not,
manure, but other things. Today, it's better if we can treat stuff and reuse things,
sure,
which is needed, especially in our sandy soil where we've got about 1% organic matter. So, getting Darcy and the Black Cow out there is important. And even if you're doing container gardening, I would still add Black Cow into the existing potting soil, and I'd buy a decent soil that had some perlite and other things in it to make it looser and lighter.
Sure, that makes perfect sense.
So I think that's important. But, I think it's kind of fun to grow. I mean, I've had rosemary that I use almost every week for potatoes or fish that I grow. I grow mint. I grow, to me, it's one of the fun things to do. And in fact, my rosemary, I took from a cutting of my neighbor. John had some, and his was growing well. Took a little cutting, put it in some Rootone, and I got it to grow. And now mine I've had for a couple of years off of his.
You just said Rootone. I have no idea what that is.
Rootone is a rooting hormone.
Okay.
And it's indolbutyric acid. And it's just a little bit of, it's white powder. Mm-hmm. And you just dip your cutting in it. But it makes... If you're trying to grow stuff from cuttings and you're not having success, cost a few dollars to buy the Rootone, which you can buy at most nurseries. They don't usually push it, and they should.
Can you get it on Amazon?
You probably could. I'm sure you could. You can get everything on Amazon.
Yeah, I know.
So
right.
It's a good. What it helps, it improves your ability to get. I guess maybe nurseries don't push it because they want you to come in and buy the plant, but you could actually grow most things. If it'll root, you can easily get things going. And all right, we've got Denise, I guess, who is a realtor and agent. Maybe he has a question for you, Danielle. Kirschbaum.
All right, I'll do my best.
Let's go ahead and bring her up. Man behind the curtain. We'll bring up Denise. Denise, good morning.
Good morning.
Do you have a question for us or for Danielle?
Actually, I don't have a question. I spoke with you guys, and you just asked me to call in. I'm a real estate agent. I specialize in waterfront property in the beaches and St. Pete.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, I've been calling some of the top agents. You're on my list, and I've offered for, do you have a particular listing or a question or a problem, maybe a good story you can tell us about?
Well, actually, when we talked, I do have a particular listing. I do have a very beautiful home down on Ocean View, which is on Tierra Verde.
Oh, yeah.
It's
nice.
Absolutely beautiful.
I'm unable to hear
nature preserve,
I'm not
so
sure
it's
if I'm
very
supposed to be able
private.
to.
And of course, for Southern Pinellas County, we don't normally have a lot of acreage, but this has almost 3/4 of an acre. Actually, it's a little over 3/4 of an acre of land behind it, or the house sits on it. So it's absolutely beautiful. Plus, it's got over 5,000 square feet of living space.
Wow.
And what's the address of this place?
It's 1778 Ocean View Drive in Tierra Verde.
Oh, wow.
And Denise, how does someone get a hold of you if they want to call you today and find out more about the property?
You can call me, 727-458-6161.
All right. See,
Or
we
you can text me.
they can text you at the same number.
Yes. Yes.
Give the number out again.
It is 727-458-6161.
See, you were on one of my lists. I've been calling some of the top agents, and you are one of them. And I am proud of you for availing yourself of calling in today. We made it easy and fun for you.
Oh, absolutely. And one other thing, you did talk to me about it, and if it's okay, I'd like to mention it. I also am very involved with a nonprofit. It's called Morning Star School.
Oh, yeah.
And that is a school for special needs children in Pinellas Park. And we're right now we're trying to raise money to build a transition high school for the children. And if anybody is interested in finding out any information, they can call the same number. I am the chair of the advisory board there. But it's a wonderful school, and we have over 80 students there. And really, we're just so blessed to work with them. So it's an important thing in Pinellas County, to address special needs children.
Denise, bless you for doing that. We appreciate that. I know James has a special tie in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say that definitely goes out to my heart, is because my wife, Stephanie, works at Nina Harris and has been there.
Yes.
Yeah, she's been there for 13 years as a school teacher. And, her first and foremost goal is to, provide a safe environment for the students and to make sure that they are loved and cared for. And I'm just always amazed because these kids, they show up, they have a special place to go, they are made to feel important, which they are. And, any time that we can put a spotlight on that and make sure that these kids are loved and have a great experience, I just love doing that. And it's a great school. It sounds like you have a great foundation that you're working on, and we couldn't be happier that you called, Denise.
Yeah, Denise, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. And give us a call sometime in the near future. We'll talk more about the Morning Star.
Yeah, please do.
And Danielle, we'll get back to you in just a second, too. We'll check with her during the break here. And we're going to mention, of course, you can give us a call at 1-877-969-8600 or 813-289-1860.
Want to talk real estate auctions? Call James DeFreitas at 727-254-7127 or go online at aflre.com.
And we're going to go right back to Danielle Kirschbaum. Thank you for hanging in there. Denise was a great call. I had talked with her during the week, and I could tell she was such a, can-do kind of lady. I said, call us in sometime and be a part of our show, and we'll have her call in sometime again because I think she's doing some great work there with special needs children, and that's so important. And I'm glad she could also get we can help her maybe sell the property out on Terra Verde.
Yeah. It's a win-win.
Danielle, you're still with us.
Yes, I am.
Thank you for hanging in there so nicely.
Oh, of course. It's been wonderful. Lots of fun.
Well, good. And I know you said, what is the one thing that you love about this industry more than anything else? Is it just helping people or that warm feeling of making sure the deal gets done?
It always feels good to build a partnership or a connection with others, but to be able to do that and to help people, it just puts a good feeling in your heart, I think, for most normal humans. So it makes you feel good. You don't want to do a job where at the end of the day you don't get any satisfaction from it, or it's just a 9 to 5, and this just isn't. It feels like helping the community, and even though it's insurance and it sounds boring, or maybe you don't know about it, once you dive into it, there is a gratification to it. So that's what I really enjoy.
Well, it's important because a nice, smooth closing is just a wonderful thing. I've been through a few of those, too, where you're going,
yes.
Gosh, is this just the best thing since sliced bread? Mm-hmm. And I've had the opposite, too. So I've thought the nice thing about having one that's a horrible closing is that when you get a nice one, you go,
It's that much more of a positive,
Yes,
effect.
and we go for just the sliced bread experience.
Right.
Well, I can tell, and the crew of people, and I'm not just saying that, but what a friendly group of folks that we have down at at
Title,
Remax Metro.
sure, Title Insurers of Florida. Yeah.
Just the wonderful group, Title Insurers of Florida. Nice group. Everyone down there. I mean, I've been amazed. Normally, I expect to find maybe one grumpy, but not one. Everybody is friendly and helpful, and that's just refreshing.
Sure. And not only that, but you guys are doing a great job in terms of making sure that, we adjust, our ability to provide a safe place to have closings, to be able to make sure that everything is clean if we're going to have in-person closing or if we're going to do mail away, and all of that stuff is done in such a way to make sure that people know that we're being socially responsible, that we're taking, putting the best foot forward and making sure that, nobody's going to look back and go, geez, I wish I hadn't done that. I think I put myself at risk in terms of being, the COVID and that kind of thing. So, that's another thing, the professionalism.
And it's not always an easy experience. I know Dan said that, buying and selling, Dan Ortiz from Armada Mortgage Partners, he said on his interview with you guys that buying and selling a home, stress of it is up there with death and divorce. And sometimes those things are happening at the same time behind the scenes. So
sure,
it's just nice to be able to help. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's very true. And in this time, and one of the things that Dan said too, is that, right now 2 + 2 is 5. You're sort of, you're dealing with something that's an unknown, and the unknown of a situation, often that could be the more stressful part of a situation than the actual situation itself. And,
right.
and especially in the home buying process, especially for first-time home buyers, they're getting hit with a lot of terms they don't know. And that's okay. They're not supposed to know it. That's why they've entrusted and put their faith into professionals.
In you.
Yeah, and us, the real estate agents. And I would say this, too, is that the real estate agents in general, my goodness, the amount of hats that the real estate agents have to wear, between having a smattering of having mortgage knowledge to having a smattering of title insurance knowledge and making sure, that they're able to put on those hats when they need to put the hats on so as to reassure their clients. Yeah, to make sure that they know that they're in the know. I mean, I was, when I was talking to Dan, I was asking him about all the different kinds of mortgage options. And, and it's funny because we get clients all the time. They'll turn around and say, well, hey, what are my options? What can I do? And, and I'm like, well, here's what I know and here's what I don't know. And what I don't know in that industry is you could fill a book. So let me get you to that person that knows that industry better than myself, especially when they start getting into detailed questions. I'm much more of a proponent of making sure that if I don't know something, I'm going to go find out, or I'm going to connect you to the person that does know something. And I think that's a better way to advise our clients.
Yeah, Danielle, why don't you give us a listing of some of the other people who you work with, again, which you mentioned earlier. Let's give them another pat on the back, and then also make sure we get that number out again.
Yeah.
Your phone.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. And so the team in our office consists of Robin Murphy, who you mentioned earlier. She's fantastic, as well as all the other ladies, Lee Bosenhard, Jody Tutt, Donna Bernard, and Jenny Martinez makes up our team at Title Insurers in Florida.
And they're all great, just like you. And if they want to get a hold of you or some of the other fine team members, give them the number again. In radio, we always say give it out twice.
Okay, and I don't know if the office number is in the radio ad that plays continuously, so is it in that ad?
Gosh, I'm not.
I would assume it is. Let's say it is.
Yeah, we'll say it is because after a while you listen to it, we're usually getting coffee and drinking water and stuff during the commercials. But
right. Yes, I've watched some of the live, so I'll give my number. So my number again is 727-637-1291, and again that's 727-637-1291.
Now you're a radio professional because you gave it out twice. That's what I first learned in radio 40 years ago. They'd go, hey, make sure you give those numbers out at least twice.
And they say to say it slow and write it out with your finger so you don't say it too fast for people.
That's right.
I learned that as well.
You did a good job.
You've got it. Absolutely. That's 3 gold stars right here. I mean, that's amazing because most of the time.
I was taking from the pros. Thanks for being a good example.
Well, we've been doing this for a while. I've been doing this for about 40 years. And James is relatively new, but he's coming on like a seasoned veteran.
I have all of 14 weeks experience on doing radio. So, but I have been watching Stan most of my life do do radio. So I guess in that sense, I have more experience than most would.
I brought him in as a youngster. He's probably 5 or 6 years old. I'd bring him into studios and say, here's what Papa does on occasion. Though I look at myself as a field goal kicker. I come in on the weekends. I mean, the guys who live it Monday through Friday spend a lot more time than I have, but I've been catching up on them.
That's right. Yeah, the time served for sure. Well, we couldn't be happier, Danielle, that you were able to join us today and give us a little bit more information about yourself and Titles Insurers of Florida. And we thank you so much for being a part of our show today.
We sure do.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Danielle Kirschbaum, thank you for being there. And, time has gone by. Our hour is gone.
Another hour has gone by.
It's in the books.
It's in the books.
So we want folks to know next week you can call in if you've got a plant question you couldn't get in this week. We were kind of busy. We, of course, had Danielle Kirschbaum on. And we want to thank everybody for being with us.
Absolutely. So join us next week. We will be here 7 to 9.